You have the power to shape your own path with courage, optimism, and a willingness to learn. Embrace the challenges, cherish the journey, and remember that every step forward is progress, no matter how small.
These small steps alone pave the way to success. And even though your journey may be solitary, your impact can be infinite.
And to contribute its share in making such impact, Astor Public School is absolutely delighted to host you for the weekend. Therefore, I, Vaibhavi,
And I, Priyanshi, on behalf of our school, extend a hearty and warm welcome to the our honored faculty to the inaugural Astor Model United Nations Conference 2024. That is
Astor MUN 24. It's an immense honor for us to be here today, opening this prestigious event that brings together bright young minds on a journey of discovery, diplomacy, and debate. As we gather here today, we are united by a shared commitment to understanding and solving the world's most prominent issues.
Over the next 2 days, we will step into the shoes of diplomats and leaders representing various countries and tackling challenges that affect our global community.
But all such significant things must have a positive beginning. One way to do so would be an act of illumination, that is, the lamp lighting ceremony.
शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम्
Stop. that is in front of all of you, which is of climate change. I have been working in the environment issue for more than 25 years now. In fact, I was a corporate executive way back in 1988. I worked for 12 years in 3 big companies in India. I worked with DCM, I worked with Hindustan Levers, and I worked with ITC. I used to be the regional marketing manager in ITC. So what I did was I bought a motorcycle, and for 2 years I started, and I loved the Himalayas. So for 2 years, I traveled on a motorcycle 20,000 kilometers all across the Himalayas, trying to learn, because there were a lot of things where I realized there is so much more that nature and society is giving to us, and we are locked down in an education system which gives us bookish knowledge but does not give us the real knowledge of life. So for me, that was a period of unlearning also. And while I enriched myself with cultural technologies, cultural practices, and the way that people, have been living for centuries, I realized there is so much more to be done for the environment. I started with social development. In fact, in 1993, I started forming Mahila Mangal Dals because, I thought that organizing people is very important. So in 52 villages initially, and later on in 85 villages, I formed Mahila Mangal Dals and Yuva Mangal Dals. These were organizations at the village level, which eventually, over a period of time, I changed them, the Mahila Mangal Dals specifically, into economic, Mangal Dals also. We formed the self-help groups in all these villages, and these women would collect paltry small amounts every month and then have a corpus which they would use for helping out people in the village who needed a lot of help. And it was the responsibility of the beneficiary to pay back to this organization's self-help group. That way, economic sustainability started happening, and this was all without government help. Around about 90,000 trees were going to be cut. That was the official figure. But these were all the big trees. And let me tell you another fact, that whenever one big tree is cut, especially in a dense forest, it brings down at least 10 more trees. Because when it falls down, it breaks away many more trees. So the figure was not just 90,000 big trees, it was more than 9 lakh trees. Eventually, I was able to save 85%, and that was, I think my greatest contribution. And then I realized there is something called a nexus between politicians, bureaucrats, and the timber mafia, and to some extent the judiciary also. Now, they were cutting trees, and I realized that once there was a time when we had very big trees in the Himalayas, but now to find a tree with a girth of 14 feet is a rarity. So over the years, I've been fighting the timber mafia. I've fought many battles. I'm wanting to bring efficiency in the tree plantation drives in the Uttarakhand region and the Himachal region. Though I've been to Kashmir, I formed the Agarwood Growers Association in Assam. How many of you know what agarwood is? Anyone? Agarbatti word has come from agarwood. Agar lakdi. Now this is a wood which is scented, and it is quite expensive. 1 liter of agarwood oil is about 20 lakh rupees. That is how expensive it is. The oil can be extracted, the wood, the chips, even the powder, they are all part, nothing is wasted in this tree. So in Assam, I formed the Agarwood Growers Association because there were no agarwood trees in the forest areas, they were only on private lands, and the bureaucracy was not allowing the farmers to exploit that in their own private lands. So we fought that case, and today we have a agarwood policy which was defined by the Ministry of Environment and Forests, Climate Change here in Delhi, along with the Assam government. and that policy now allows the farmers to exploit the trees. They can, log, cut, grow more trees in their homestead land. Trying to bring in technologies, and incidentally, I'm a visiting faculty in IIT Delhi also, so I have access to a lot of good resources who help me out in all this.
Save this world from the trees being cut. It is highly commendable. Not only that, I think children, you all should understand the deepness of the kind of work that he's been doing. Thank you, sir, for your contribution towards our country, towards the environment, and towards the world at large. Thank you so much. Now, today, children, so much of energy and excitement for this Model United Nations. This is the first of its kind in our school, and I feel very proud to see each one of you tugging along with your teachers, along with your vice principal ma'am, your coordinators, your teachers, and the amount of cooperation and coordination that you all are showing amongst yourselves. That too is very commendable. As sir was saying, I can see the future in front of me, the future of the country, the future of the world at large. And you all are going to participate in the Model United Nations. Why so much of importance is being given to this Model United Nations by all of us, the entire education fraternity, whether it is here in school or in colleges or anywhere else? Because the world at large, you can see every day, in spite of the consequences of the world wars, they are still fighting amongst themselves. Your job will be, of course, to create a better world, for the world to be able to accept everybody amiably. Yes, and live happily. That is the most important thing, peacefully. So that is why Model United Nations every time in every school, so that you all learn to debate positively for all the countries that are participating, irrespective of the economic condition of the country, whether it is a lesser developed country or a more developed country, to bridge the gap, to have equal amount of facilities in all these countries, to live together in harmony, to be at peace. That is the most important thing today, standing here.
To my amazing team, your relentless dedication has been nothing short of inspiring. As we kick off this exciting journey, let's remember that the conversations we have today can shape a better tomorrow. Let's make every moment count. To an unforgettable conference. Thank you.
I am Chaitali Naik, the Director General. As Astha Didi said, I am very grateful to my secretariat. Preparing this MBN conference had been a roller coaster. There were many ups and downs. But working together with my dedicated secretariat, we tackled all the barriers to make this conference a reality.
I, Anvi Sharma, the Deputy Secretary General,
I, Chaitali Naik, the Director General,
Declare the conference open.
Exactly. Yes, Delegate Abhinam. If you want to increase the time for individuals speaking in ESL, you want to increase the time for CSL. See, by default, the time is 90 seconds. If the committee agrees and the delegates agree, I think we can, agree to that.
So, we are here to discuss about PNS, which without doubt is not inclusive of all gender. Section 63 of PNS defines rape with reference to women only, which points to the fact that it is a missed opportunity of gender justice. The offence of rape, as defined by PNS, has an exception for husbands, exception to Section 63. IPC states section interposed to section acts by a man with his own wife.
Weapons and weapon systems are operated within the accepted system of control. Additionally, Australia has undergone significant review of the risk of AI to human rights and within the international organization and has committed to producing ethics guidelines and framework in the security and defense. Australia has also designed artificial intelligence ethics principles that are mainly designed to ensure AI is safe, secure and reliable. Also, they will help in achieve safer and more reliable and fair outcome for all the citizens, reduce the risk of negative impact on those who are affected by AI applications and businesses and governments, practices the highest ethical standards when designing the development or implementing of AI.
What we are looking for is proper solutions. For example, अगर मैं एक स्कूल का प्रिंसिपल कोई बच्चा शैतानी करे, मेरे से एक पेरेंट आके कंप्लेंट करता है कि सर हमारे बच्चों को लड़के ने मारा, आप क्या करते हो? तो मैं थोड़ी कहूँगा मैं ध्यान दे दूँ, मैंने क्या प्लान ऑफ एक्शन लिया? You have to explain that plan of action.
Warm greetings to the Honorable Chairperson and fellow delegates present here. This is the delegate of Republic of Korea who would like to propose the agenda for today, that is the deliberation on the weaponization of AI with special emphasis on international warfare. As artificial intelligence is used by militaries more and more in a variety of situations, the Republic of Korea understands the need of fostering global discourse on the appropriate application of AI in the military. For this, the first International Summit on Responsible Artificial Intelligence in the Military Domain, or RE-AIM 2023, was held in the Netherlands on February 15 and 16. South Korea was the co-hosted the summit, and the country will host the following one in September 2024. Overall, South Korea's approach to AI warfare appears to involve a balance between leveraging AI technology for military purposes while also acknowledging the importance of global standards and international guidelines in ensuring its responsible and ethical use in warfare. Thank you.
How does co-hosting the summit benefit you in militarization of AI?
In warfare, we use AI in both perspectives, for positive and negative also. So South Korea, ये ढूंढ रहा है कि वो neutral रहे, always neutral. So South Korea is concerned about the negative sides of the AI. So for this, we are the co-host of the summit RE-AIM 2023, which was held on 15 and 16 February.
Sexual harassment, especially in workplace. How effective are the new workplace protections and support measures have been to empower women politically in Australia? And it is reported by Australian government. To speak of sexual harassment that women experience in workplaces, right? Yeah. So mentioned almost everywhere that it prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex, marital status, and pregnancy. But it also encompasses around
My fellow delegates, I, delegate of any of the types and place the country's opinion on political participation of women in key decisions with special emphasis on abortion rights. The delegate is more than honored to be a part of this meeting and solve the pressing issue at hand today. As of 2024, women hold approximately 14% of the seats in the Lok Sabha and about 11% in the Rajya Sabha. Women's representation in state legislative assemblies is not fixed, but approximately it ranges from 5% to 15%. Almost 56% of abortions in India are considered unsafe. So what do you think about that? Medical, but yes, India has provided some formations like which supports medical support and
responsibility to protect those who are displaced and distressed. Refugees receive trauma which causes them to have mental health problems such as PTSD, anxiety and depression. Countries in the south face illiteracy. How can we expect a country like this to educate their refugees? Australia has a whopping 99% literacy rate and can impart education to the refugees, where countries such as Ethiopia have poor sanitation problems. Vulnerable groups such as women and young girls also face reproductive problems due to poor health conditions.
Offshore detention centers for asylum seekers.
The major problem of the refugees in
Australia are finding affordable house, finding appropriate languages, and communicating barriers. So, English is not a solved problem.
Humanitarian assistance, providing life-saving aid, shelter and healthcare is critical. Language training, cultural awareness and community engagement are the bridge to a new life which strengthens refugees' voices in local decisions. Villages due to conflict and disaster need more than just survival. They need a chance to thrive. Sanitary conditions and healthcare access are a pressing concern.
Today I would like to discuss the rules and regulations China has for abortion. In China, abortion is legal and accessible. Women can obtain an abortion upon request up to 14 weeks into their pregnancy. Beyond this period, abortions are still available but require medical justification. Historically, China's family planning policies, including the one-child policy and its subsequent adjustments, have influenced access to reproductive health services. Women seeking abortions are typically required to undergo counseling to ensure they are fully informed about their options and the procedures. For minors, the process may involve additional consideration such as parental consent, depending on local regulations. In conclusion, China's abortion laws reflect a balance between individual rights and public health considerations.
What are you doing for the problem of sexual ambition, domestic violence, and international trafficking for women?
Also, a woman is, in some cases, a woman is allowed access. Many illegal abortions are also happening.
What are you trying to do in the process? There is a way in securing women's reproductive rights through a legal framework that is clear, consistent, and effective. Are allowed for safe and regulated access for abortion up to 12 weeks of pregnancy and even beyond in cases of rape and or medical necessities, ensuring that women are protected under the law. In contrast, the United States remains involved in endless political battles resulting in patchwork of inconsistent and often restrictive laws that fail to protect women's health and rights. The recent case of Ohio where a 10-year-old girl was denied an abortion is a tragic example of this failure. Russia's approach proved that it is possible to govern with compassion, stability, and respect for women's autonomy. The US will learn from the Russian example in handling a critical issue with concern and commitment to human dignity. Thank you.
Portugal, Spain, Belarus, Italy, Greece, Iraq, Mexico, North Korea, United States of America, Finland, Belgium, Germany, Ecuador. India.
And I, Soumya, are overwhelmed with pride and joy to have you all here with us once again. as we draw our conference to a close. Over the past 2 days, we have witnessed an extraordinary display of diplomacy, debate, and collaboration. Our delegates have passionately tackled global issues, presented innovative solutions, and engaged in meaningful discussions.
The dedication and enthusiasm shown by each one of you have made this conference a tremendous success.
To kick off the evening, our wonderful singers are to be back on the stage with their melodious voices.
Strangers to love.
dance felt like a burst of energy. I really did not want this to end. Can we have a huge round of applause once again?
To bring you out from the serious cabins pondering over the most poignant global issues, we have arranged something energetic and entertaining for you all. Our jovial group of dancers is here to lighten your moods and lift your spirits with a fun western dance performance on some popular high-energy numbers with mesmerizing rhythms.
Get ready to feel the enthusiasm in part of the stage as we request you all to welcome our performers who are about to light up this evening. Please give them a huge round of applause.
Still feels like a cage. Flashlights. Run away with innocence. If you love me, let me go. Run away before I know. My heart is just a dark you care. I can't destroy what is in there. Deliver me to my fate. If I'm alone, I cannot aid. I don't deserve to have you. Oh, my love was punished long ago. I took the debt I want to let you go. I suppress your letters to my lips.
Now let's start with the celebrations. Vince Lombardi once said, "Winning isn't everything, but wanting to win is. Winning is not just a matter of being the best. it is a matter of constantly striving to be better than who you were yesterday. It involves setting your sights on new horizons, learning from every experience and pushing your limits.
Over the past 2 days, you all have done this with profound dedication. And now it is time for you to enjoy the fruits of your hard work. A good number of trophies and certificates are waiting for you all.
Now, Soumya, let's not take a lot of their time. We request our respected chief guest, Mr. J.P. Dabral, Principal Ma'am Dr. Sharbari Banerjee, Vice Principal Ma'am Ms. Rachna Shukla, and our MUN teacher in charge, Mr. Rohit Darad, to come upon the stage to begin the prize distribution segment of the ceremony.
MUN staff, revered guests, dear participants, and everyone gathered here. I wish a very warm evening to you all. It is with immense pride and gratitude that I stand before you today to deliver the closing speech of this Model United Nations Conference. Throughout this conference, we witnessed the power of dialogue and collaboration. We learned that by putting aside our differences and focusing on common goals, we can achieve remarkable outcomes. I could see that we transformed from individual representing various nations to a united body driven by the common interest of global peace and prosperity. I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt appreciation to our executive board members, Mr. Vihan Saraswat, Madhvendra Kankan, Shaurya Gehlot, Ananya Rathore, Shubh Bharadwaj, Baljinder Singh, Krishna Bakshi, Anjali Kadyan, Abhas Aditya, Domil Anthony Johnson, Bhumika Pandey, Palak Singh, Avinash Sirohi, Ayushi Kukreja, Tejaswini Singh, Akshita Shukla, Anupriya Bhatnagar, and Hansika for their exceptional guidance and leadership. Their patience, professionalism, and ability to uphold the rules and procedures of this conference ensured its smooth functioning. They have inspired us to think critically, speak eloquently, and engage constructively. Let us show our gratitude with a round of applause, please, everyone, for their unwavering commitment to making this conference unforgettable experience. I must also extend my gratitude to the organizing committee, working under the strong leadership of our teacher in charge, Mr. Rohit Darad, and the guidance of Secretary General Astha Pandey with her comrades, Deputy Secretary General Anvi Sharma, and Director General Chaitali Nayak, and all other members of this committee, whose tireless efforts behind the scenes made this conference possible. Their attention to detail, logistical prowess, and ability to adapt to unforeseen circumstances ensure that everything ran seamlessly. They deserve our deepest appreciation for their hard work and dedication.